Welcome back to Brashonomics. It is funny when you think about all the different things people try to do by themselves, whether they're legal contracts, finding houses, as we did just learn from John Hugg, the legal contract thing by yourself, man, that doesn't sound like a very good idea, does it?
Makes a lot of sense to not do that.
To not do that, right? It sounds like it'd be a lot more expensive if you don't do it the right way. Good friend of our show, Dave Duncan, is back with us, one of the owners of Keller Williams up in Bothell and the Dave Duncan Group. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back.
It's good to see you again. Good to see you again. And, when we start talking about some of these things, which we're going to hit on a little bit about ways to kind of work and get your offer accepted, the tangible and intangible items and selecting an agent, coming from you, obviously, your experience, and then also, essentially managing, I don't know how many agents you have in your office now.
We've got about 120.
So you see a lot of different things going on, a lot of deals, a lot of personalities that go in and out. And I want to get to that, but right now we're kind of in this place where people's offers are, people are trying to get their offer accepted. A lot of people are running through houses and unable to get their offer accepted. Do you see that happening?
I hear about it all the time in our sales meetings where I think that last week I heard somebody was so excited because they finally got something signed around for their buyer, and it was like the 12th offer they'd written. And so that's common to hear 5 or 6 houses, they write offers and they get outbid. So that hearing that at my meeting last week got me thinking about what I wanted to cover today, and I thought,
what a deal.
Yeah, hey.
So when you start, and that's happened through the summer. Summer's typically, spring and summer's typically a hot part of the year, not just temperature, but, in the real estate market. August slows down, and now you're kind of going into this September. Well, we are in September.
We are.
But, you go into this new time or new part of the year. What's typical of the market in September, October, November?
That's a great question, and I've observed it over the years. And typically, 2/3 of all homes sell between, say, late January and June. So, and then we come into, again, you said a minute ago that people it gets more busy in the summer, but in Seattle it doesn't. And my theory is that our summers are so short, the people may want to go buy a house, but then they say, you know what, let's go to the lake instead. So then it doesn't happen in the summer like it normally does.
Sure. Or
like you would think it would. And then comes fall, that's when those that are serious pick back up. So that's if we're going to have a little spike, it's usually September, October.
And then November, December, holidays. Do you think that'll push through, though? I mean, people start thinking, well, there's less buyers out there. Maybe they push through, or I guess that would have maybe happened in August.
In December, it's a surprising stat. It's about 60% of whatever's normal sells in December. And there is that theory. People take their house off the market, so there's we have low inventory now, but that's so.
There won't be anything for sale, Dave.
I know. Well, that's why we're talking about how to buy houses. That's why it's a problem today. It's because there's so little inventory still, and there's so many buyers fighting for that inventory.
Yeah. So when you have all these buyers and they're all fighting for the same inventory, what are some real tangible ways that you think people can get their offer accepted?
Well, the obvious stuff is I wouldn't even go look, and this is right up your alley, to get a pre-approval letter and a real pre-approval. Because later on we'll talk about what the agent can do to help endear themselves to the other listing agent and thus the seller. So obviously step one is get a pre-approval. And then you know where you can buy. But you'd be shocked and amazed at how often that doesn't happen. I mean,
we're shocked and amazed at how, you talk about a real pre-approval and how many loan officers will literally just send out a letter based on nothing. And then, we even hit on this a little bit before, how much pressure bad real estate agents and borrowers will put on a loan officer to give them something because they need it for their offer that has to be done that minute. It's a tough position for sometimes.
It does. And I as you know, I list a lot of properties too, and I'll see offers and it'll come with no pre-approval letter. So we say, well, we're not going to present it till I get a pre-approval letter. And then it'll come from some company I've never heard of. So I'll say, well, now you've got to talk to one of our people and get a real pre-approval letter.
Right.
So that's what we need to see before we even look at offers nowadays. And it's not because we want to be tough on them. It's just that usually something goes wrong when you don't have it.
Well, I mean, you should think that somebody would do their due diligence before they buy a house. I don't know. It seems to make sense.
Back to the legal documentation.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Okay, so then getting their pre-approval letter. Now, what about once you get into the contract? As John was talking about, you really get hosed if you do a contract wrong. What are some ways that, you can maybe negotiate best in your own best interest to still try to get the property?
Well, and today's different. Again, your job as a buyer agent is to get the property for the buyer first and get it the best terms and conditions you can. Before it was always, price, but nowadays, a question you have to ask the buyer is, how are you going to feel if you don't get this over a couple $1,000s? So number one, of course, most important thing is price, and which leads the better the price, of course. Typically, that's what the seller's going to be looking at first. But that said, we get offers signed around that when we're not the best one sometimes, just because we've found out all the other mitigating or important things to the seller. So price is number one, which brings up the escalator clauses.
Mm-hmm. So when you get into some of these clauses, so these are parts of a contract, I guess, and you start looking at these contracts, and there's I don't know how many lines there are on a contract. There's line A, fill this in. But these are really just all parts of the contract that you have the ability to, manipulate. True, and they're all standardized forms with our multiple, not favoring one or the other. But there are boxes you can check, and some are advantageous for the buyer, and some absolutely are not. So, back to escalator clauses. Sure. So let's say it's a house you really want. You may want to say, and you're competing with other offers, I'll pay an extra $500 over the best one you got, up to a top price of X. So you see that a lot, and you may want to discuss that with your agent to make sure that's in there. Depends how bad you want the house. If you're lukewarm on it, don't put it in there. But sure.
If you really have seen enough and lost enough houses, that's the way to help you get it.
Yep. And then, what are some other ways? You'd even mentioned like earnest money.
Earnest money is another one of my pet peeves, but the longer I'm in real estate, the more I have a lot of those. You'd be amazed how many $500,000 offers I see where they got $1,000 or $2,000 earnest money. And they might be putting $50,000 down. So my theory is, if you're going to come to the table with that money in a month, make your earnest money attractive, because obviously it sells how earnest you are. So if I'm a seller and I got two offers, one with $1,000 down and one with $10,000, obviously I'm going to look at the $10,000 more serious. And as a buyer though, the earnest money, there's so many ways out of your earnest money for so long, whether it's financing, whether it's the inspection. It seems to me like that would be a pretty easy way to go, yeah, we'll put this up for a short amount of time, knowing I can still get out of it. And that's the question I always ask. Would they walk away over $1,000 if they found a better house?
But even if they could walk away and keep the money, even in a lot of cases. Yeah,
and again, that's when you're representing the buyer, you want to put the things in there that'll protect them. But again, today we're talking about how to help you get the house. Not
sure.
We still want to protect them if they want out.
Right. But what I'm saying is, you could put a very large number in there, bring that to the table, and still have enough recourse to get out of it. No, but with that number being very big.
You can be protected for an extended period of time, and that's something I always tell the buyers. If you're having doubts, you got to let me know, because I can protect your money. It's just I got to know in advance.
Sure, makes sense. And then you talked about, I guess the last piece here. Getting it done quickly, I think would always be one.
Yeah. Faster close is another thing that the seller may value.
Sure. A
lot of times they don't. A lot of times they want more time. So
sure.
You see that too. And that gets more into the intangible stuff. I'm jumping ahead a bit, but they got to, as the agent, to do a good job, has to find out what's the most important things to the seller.
Yeah.
And if they want more time, you give them more time. If they want done as quick as they can, you do that.
And so when you start looking at, is that a big piece? Is your buyer's agent is a big piece? We talked even at the top of the hour about if you had a political guide who could help you understand, well, if education's important to you and, pro-choice is important to you and whatever it may be, that wouldn't be a liberal guy, but anyways, but you have whatever it may be, then they could go, well, this is this candidate, this is this law. Is it kind of the same thing? Your agent should really be almost dissecting the important pieces of the puzzle of the seller so that you can, you know where to put your money, you know where to vote, where to, if they don't care, if they don't have a place to move, they don't care if they move for 6 months, a fast close really isn't going to be a big deal to them.
And that gets to the intangible parts. So your agent really needs to be talking to the best ways if you're talking to the listing agent before you even write the offer. Because our job is to get them liking and trusting us as an agent. Our job is to have them, if that listing agent really thinks you're a veteran agent and, you close a lot of houses, they're going to go the direction that they think not just is best for the seller, but that they get paid sooner too. That's a reality also.
Sure.
So we want to develop rapport with those guys and talk to them in advance. And again, we're selling ourselves as agents as well as the buyer. Another thing you could do is you could have the lender contact the listing agent. I've done that a few times, and that makes a difference.
We're starting to do that a lot.
Are you getting that request a lot?
We're just doing it. I mean, because it's just an added value that quashes some fears.
And it's smart. It's the only way to go, and then it exposes you to more people too. And
sure.
And then when people see what a great job you guys do.
Oh man, I tell you. But and in fact, there's that whole staying engaged and being that active buyer thing that kind of goes along with having the lender contact. But you almost have this team of people that are working for you or trying to get something done for you, and maintaining some level of activity within that group, I think, is probably key.
You need the team is good. You have to have all members all on board, and it's important to have every one of them contribute. So the last thing I had on here is with a lot of times the good offers I see have a welcome letter. It sells the family and the dog
sure.
and the kids and how much they really love the house. And with a lot of investors out there, all things being equal, a lot of homeowners would just soon see their property go to a family instead of just some
little
investor.
Johnny's picked out his room already.
Yep. So they got to, and plus the intended use. They'd rather see an owner-occupied property than just some investor buying one and renting it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's that emotional appeal, isn't there?
Always.
So do you think that there are agents? I mean, and I'm asking you. You have 122 agents, and certainly we're here with Dave Duncan with Keller Williams. Are there good agents and bad agents when it comes to this stuff? I mean, is it very noticeable?
Absolutely. In any field, you have the good and the bad, and there's a lot of great agents, but there's a lot that you'd be amazed at what I see. And back to John's comments about the contracts, you'd be amazed at the sloppy contracts we see. And so we got to butcher them up and clean them up, and some agents are offended by that, but we want a legal contract, not just
sure
something that you could walk from. And
we do have to go to break, but what's the fastest? I mean, if you were to just say, hey, if you're out there, you're looking to buy a house or sell a house, what's like the quickest reason or the quickest way somebody could tell if they're working with a real estate agent who's of high quality or low quality? Is there a quick, like a quick 1-2 or?
Well, references, of course. Get some references, buyer and or seller, whichever you're going to be doing. That's number one. Number two, I say go with your gut, but I heard a phrase last week that I really liked about common sense. It's really not so common.
Yeah.
So you get referrals from family and friends, somebody who's worked with them before. So not just references, but if you can get a closer referral, that's even better.
Well, and and then also you have to realize you have that ability to stop working with them, I guess, if they're not. So, let's hit on that when we come back. That's Dave Duncan with Keller Williams. We do have to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little about moving on from maybe the professional you were already working with. Maybe you didn't select a good one. We'll let you know how maybe you can find a good way out of it that's amicable. We'll be back after this break.